Alhamdulillahi Rabbil Alameen wa salatu wa salamu ala Sayyidil Mursaleen wa ala alihi wa sahbihi ajma'in. Amma ba'd, qala Allahu ta'ala fi kitabihil Majid. A'udhu billahi minash shaitanir rajeem. Bismillahir rahmanir rahim. Ya ayyuhallazina amanu qu anfusakum wa ahlikum narum wa quduha an-nas wal hijara. Respected brothers and sisters, the topic which I have been asked is on the screen, and it's about educating our young people. What are the challenges and what are the opportunities? I have 5 children myself, and they've grown up now, and I've got 9 grandchildren. And I'm constantly thinking about their tarbiyah, their development. It is a big challenge. When we were young, we were more sort of used to the culture of our elders, but now 3 generations later, the young people seem to be alien. They think we are strangers and they cannot relate to us. So it is the biggest challenge. If we lose our 3rd, 4th generations, will our community have a future? This is what we have to think. They are our future. So every elder, every male and female, man and woman has to think very deeply how to protect our young people from this the powerful trends and the culture and civilization which is rooted on materialism and godlessness, and a civilization which does not give humans a purpose in life. So it's a big challenge. And if you read the Quran regularly, Prophet ﷺ came to achieve many things, which was to establish this deen, but part of that were many things. One important role he played was as a teacher. And the Quran Majid highlights his role and what were the things he taught in many different ways. One verse which is quite comprehensive, it says, لَقَدْ مَنَّ اللَّهُ عَلَى الْمُؤْمِنِينَ إِذْ بَعَثَ فِيهِمْ رَسُولًا مِّنْ أَنفُسِهِمْ. That it's a great favor of Allah that He sent from amongst themselves a Rasul. What does He do? يَتْلُو عَلَيْهِمْ آيَاتِهِ. The word tilawa doesn't mean recite. He didn't just recite the verses to them. Tilawa is much more deep. Ustad Khurram Murad, in his book Way to the Quran, he has written a full page on the meaning of tilawa. So tilawa is something you read with your heart, mind and soul fully engaged, trying to understand what these ayats actually mean. So the Prophet of God taught them how to read the signs. The sun is a sign, the moon is a sign, the rise and fall of civilizations is a sign, Quranic verses are signs. How do you critically read and make sense of these signs? What is happening? Why is it happening? How is it happening? This is all part of the tarbiyah. To make ourselves and our young people critical readers, critical thinkers, people who will do critical analysis. They will not blindly follow and accept whatever is given to them. So this was the first part of his tarbiyah program. وَيُزَكِّيهِمْ, and he purified them. Again, if you look at the education system, that critical thinking about important questions of life. Who are we? Why are we on this earth? What's going to happen to us when we die? There's no critical thinking. Whatever society says, we're just going to crumble to dust, they blindly accept. That critical thinking, reading is not taught in schools. وَيُزَكِّيهِمْ, again, tazkiyah is not taught in school. 16 years of their life, they go to school. What do they learn? A few formulas, a few facts and figures, a few theories. How to live as human beings. That pure, that tazkiyah, that's spirituality, that purification of the nafs is not there. وَيُعَلِّمُهُمُ الْكِتَابِ, and he taught them, the knowledge of the book. By that I understand is knowledge which is framed within the Quranic values and the Quranic paradigm. All knowledge. whether you're looking at geology and philosophy or mathematics or medicine or engineering, all of that has to be framed within the Islamic values and so on. When you look at the Sahaba, they gained that knowledge. Hazrat Umar, read his life. Allama Sibli has written the 2 volumes of Al-Faruq, his life from India. And he has written that when they sort of opened up lands for Islam, Hazrat Umar used to send them the designs of the cities, how the cities should be designed. And when you look at them, you see an Islamic Tawhidi paradigm will design cities in a different way from a secular materialistic mind. Yeah. So the way it was wal hikmah and hikmat. Now in those days, if you look at the madrasa was attached to the mosque. Now this is very important, the location of a school. In Wolverhampton, most of the schools are away from the communities. 2 miles, 3 miles, children away from their parents. So when the madrasa was linked with the masjid, the children, those who were seeking knowledge were in contact with the community and the elders and so on. So there was no distance between them. They learned hikmah, they learned wisdom, and all of these 4 things are not taught in schools. They don't underpin the curriculum. So one is what to teach, how to teach, but also why are we not able to teach what we are able to teach. That is what I want to focus on now. So the first challenge and the most difficult and the greatest challenge is that our young people are not interested in learning Islam. I observe madrasas, they go there because parents force them. They don't really want to, they play on their phones, or even if teachers take the phones away, they're not interested. That is because they do not see Islamic education or religion as relevant, because they've got so many other things to occupy their mind. So young people may not see how religion is relevant to their lives. Secular and materialistic values and many types of entertainments have undermined the relevance of religion in society. And I was just reading a report, only 12% of 4,000 children they interviewed. 12% of 4,000 children between the age of 6 and 15. And they were asked, did you enjoy religious education? And only 12% said that they enjoyed religious education. All the others, 70-something% said we do not. And 47% of the children said we enjoy science and the other subjects. So this is a phenomena. Even the Christian churches, the parents are pulling their children, but the children are not going there, they are not interested. So the question is, how do we motivate the young? That if you can motivate them, then how to teach them technologies and class, everything comes later. So how do we motivate the young people to learn Islam? Here we need to understand the root of why they are not interested. Because look, throughout the ages, humans have always, every human being have always asked this question, who am I? What am I doing here? What is the purpose of my life? What's going to happen? It does. But now more and more we are cut out from asking these questions. Material pleasures and leisures distract them from asking these fundamental questions. How can I achieve this inner peace and peace in the lives of myself and my family and society? So many things are pulling them from these spiritual reflections to understand the purpose. So they are totally immersed in the present, in the pleasures, and they do not see any discussion on Islam. They see it as a distraction and as wasteful. So before we can discuss how to disseminate Islamic education, we need to understand what is pulling them away. Once we understand that then we can do something. And there are many reasons for this. But one reason is that our young people, their hearts, minds and souls have been captured by very powerful forces who do not love them, but who have found ways to capture their souls and their minds and to exploit them, and by directing their time and their energies towards consuming entertainment and other things. They have captured them. Now, how did they capture them? And how did it happen? Now, I was reading a paper, and the paper was the invention of the teenager. If you look throughout human civilization, the concept of teenager never existed in any civilization. Either you are a child or you are an adult. There was no concept of teenager. Even now, go to any country, you will not, only it arose in Britain and Europe. And it was, the word was there in the 1900s, but after the Second World War, this concept of teenager started to develop more and more. Anybody know? What is teenager? Is 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19. 7 years of a person's life who's neither a child nor an adult. Child don't take responsibility. Adults take responsibility. So between child and adult, 7 years, no responsibility. Yeah, up to 16 they're at school, then college, no responsibility at all. Go to Pakistan, go to Sri Lanka, 7-year-old boys are running their father's businesses. They're running shops and so on. Here, 7 years old don't know how to change their nappies. Yeah, this is the situation. What is happening? Because they are not given any responsibility. So what happened? So sociology say that this concept emerged after the Second World War, and that concept was invented by the merger of three forces. What are these three forces? Number one, education became compulsory in UK and in Europe. Before it was not compulsory. After the Second World War, it became compulsory. First it was up to the age of 12, then 14, then 16 years of age. Before that it was not. And so children are away from their parents for 5, 6, 7 hours. Yeah, that is one thing. Second thing is, because they were away from their parents, the other thing happened is after the Second World War, the industry developed and the parents had surplus money. So they were able to give their children more pocket money. So now just imagine, children are away from parents, they have money as well. What will happen? Third thing is, the capitalists saw this as an opportunity, and they said now they've got money, they're away from their parents, we'll give them things to do. So new technologies, new entertainments, discos, all these things were developed so that they could exploit. And how to justify this, they rooted the word teenager. So this is how the concept of teenager, that they have no responsibility, they have money, they have technology, and parents are away from them, they can do whatever they want, and they've captured them. So the young and new youth culture was developed. Before the adults and the youth, there was very little distance, and now this distance is there, so a new youth culture is there. And what did this youth culture did? This youth culture gave them abundance of leisure time because they have no responsibility. It gave them more money, and it gave them a youth environment from which elders and parents were away, and gave them less responsibility. So what happened is that then these technologies, this entertainment, all of this began to shape their attitudes and their values. So all of these things became shaped by consumerism, by play and amusement, and by media entertainment, and all of those things that captured more and more and more of their time and heart, mind and soul. So the impact of this was that they lost any inspiring vision for life, because they've got too many things now to occupy their mind. Even now when children are eating food, mothers put some baby TV or something, otherwise the children won't eat. They've got so much absorbed in this now, so they will have no inspiring vision for life. And they will have a strong passion for technology, for new fashion, and many will have lack of motivation to do something beyond the entertainment. And they will found to lack more and more social responsibility, and they want to seek perpetual, ongoing entertainment. And they respect global icons, Mickey Mouse, Superman, Batman, and all these Hollywood and Bollywood, because that's what they are seeing all the time. They have no time, even 10-15 minutes a day, to stand back and think, who are they? What are they doing? Why are they so much immersed in these things? So we are trying to pull them away, and these things are pulling them in the other direction. So we need to understand that how we can bring them back, basically. So then these technologies became more sophisticated over the last 40-50 years. We had new ICTs and internet revolution, and now all this entertainment is in the hands. Even when they sleep, and if they have these parents are not there, they can access almost anything. And this is deeply corrupting the young people and using their time and energies. So further rooting this materialism and a lack of a global or lack of a more noble vision in their mind. The effects are slowly these children have grown up now. These teenagers have become adults because they were not given responsibility. When they get married, they don't take much responsibility. So what happens? Divorce increases. So from when we were here in the UK in the 1960s, we had extended families. You know, the English, they used to live together. Yeah, even uncles, aunties, they all used to live. Then we moved towards nuclear families. And then from nuclear families, we've moved on to now single parent families. 25% of British public live on their own. Another 25% live in single parents. This is what has happened because of this teenage culture now. All of these hippie movements and all these drug movements, they are now here. Now you talk to them about religion, they will laugh at you. You talk to them about God, you talk to them about a purpose in life, all of that is gone. So our challenge is not only to teach them, but there's a whole civilization environment which is teaching them something else. And we want to teach them something. So that is our challenge and that is our difficulty. So if we do not understand this great challenge, and unfortunately we as parents have accepted this now, they are teenagers, they shouldn't have any responsibility. So I am now, whichever videos, small YouTubes I find, I circulate it to my community. And there's a lot of research done that those children who are involved in the everyday chores at home, you know, mothers, fathers get them involved in washing the dishes, in sweeping, in cleaning. Those children develop discipline and they become better adults. So giving responsibility to your children is a way of disseminating. They learn morals and manners and efficiency and self-discipline. Practically they will learn this. But if we say, they are young people, don't give them any responsibility, you are causing them great damage. So we have accepted this, and now we feel powerless to influence or nurture the young people. So this is the background which we need to understand. Until we can integrate the young people into our environment and give them more time, instead of these technologies giving them time, we will not attract their attention in Islamic education. I remember clearly, I was 8, 9, 10 years of age. I couldn't understand Urdu properly because my mother tongue is Punjabi. Urdu is similar. But I remember our Imam used to give a speech. Wow, they captured us, and we used to be sitting there just listening, and there were no disturbances. Is because we grew up in the atmosphere, environment of elders. We used to go to the mosque after prayer. The elders used to sit in a circle, just discuss anything about their life. used to tell life stories, discuss current affairs. We used to be just sitting there, and we used to be learning and learning from their experiences. That is not there. So, you don't have to have formal education. This informal environments will only be there if we bring them into our environments and reduce this gap between the young and the old. So now this brings me to the role of parents and the role of teachers. Again, we need to do a lot of training for the parents and for the teachers. We have become just like those teenagers who have grown up. Many, especially, parents are not giving that attention, to their young people. So every minute you do not give them attention, somebody else is going to give them attention. So keep that in mind. Every time you are not, somebody else is. And if somebody else is giving them more, they will think like them. If you are giving them more, now in this 24/7 society, we are all busy. How do we find time? How do we do, these are big challenges for us. Yeah, so teachers training is required, parents training is also required. And until we train them properly, they won't be able to play effective roles. So this gap between the young and the elders has been created, and this gap must be reduced by bringing them into our environment and establishing this communication with them. So how we do this? We need to become role models. We need to share our life experiences with them. We need to engage them in everyday discussions, in everyday work, in everyday decision making. Treat them as adults. Don't treat them like children, otherwise they will remain children. Give them big tasks to do. I sometimes, do the hedging cutting and the grass cutting, and my grandchild is only 4 or 5, and he wants to do something. I'm worried he may get hurt, but so I give him the scissors, and they cut with the responsibility. Slowly, they will learn, and it will help them. And same time, I'm spending time with him, spending time with them. So these are all important. Think on how to make Islam relevant, because society is saying religion is not relevant. How do we make Islam relevant to them? To make it relevant, people are only interested in what benefits them, or they are only interested in what harms them. So if you tell them something which they don't see is a benefit to them, they are not going to be interested. So you need to present Islam in a way through which they feel that they can achieve wonders like the companions did. Like the companions who changed the world of their time, inspire our young people that they also can be able to do these things. Also explain to them what harms them. I'll come to this verse in a minute, Ku anfusakum wa ahlikum nara, in a minute, to explain the different types of harms which should be part of our curriculum to explain to the young people. So that they learn how to save themselves instead of we saving them all the time. You need to plant a vision in them. If you look at the Prophet ﷺ in Makkah, 5-time prayer was not farz. Fasting in the month of Ramadan was not farz. Giving zakat was not farz. And most of the Quran had not been revealed. So what did the Prophet invite them to? Prophet ﷺ invited them to the cause of Allah. That's all. All these nitty-gritties about Islam came much later. And I remember when we were young, we used to be in UK IM youth group, we used to sit there and the elders used to come and lecture at us, give us talks. We should say mashallah and that's it. We never developed. Ustad Khurram Murad, he went to the UK IM Shura. He said, look, you can preach to the young people for centuries, they are not going to develop. Until you don't put the responsibility on them to organize themselves and to do things themselves and to teach themselves, they are not going to develop. So reluctantly UK IM Shura agreed and the young Muslim was established. For the first time youth came together and said, we are going to develop ourselves and we are going to take on the challenge of taking this Islam to the 17 million young people in this country. This is how we felt. We had no money. UKIM gave us some, but we had no money. We had to generate our money. We had to generate, so we started slowly producing our own speakers. We started to produce our own magazines. We started to think about radio stations. We started to organize our tarbiyah, our dawah. Slowly, what was it? Ustad Khurumrad guiding us, he said, once people follow a cause, then they become self-developing and self-motivating and so on. So the Prophet ﷺ planted a vision in their mind that the Arab world and the Ajam world will be under your feet if you accept this kalima, this La ilaha illallah. Yeah, that this is so that vision, the young people, majority were young people. You know, Hazrat Abu Bakr Siddiq was about 2 years younger than the Prophet ﷺ. All the rest were in their 20s, yeah, late teens and so on. But they followed, they were inspired by this vision. Unfortunately, in our tarbiyah, we don't plant that vision. We give them a lot of facts and values and so on, but they can't fit these things together into a vision. So we need to plant a vision, we need to plant a dream that this country, inshallah, one day will become permanent for Islam, just as Pakistan, just as Egypt, just as Saudi Arabia, majority became Muslims. This country, inshallah, will become like that as well. The Tarbiyah must also provide a sense of purpose, a meaning, a direction, give them the motivation to become a better version of themselves. You know, Hazrat Umar radiallahu ta'ala anhu, you know, he became a great Khalifa, superpowers were submitted to Islam, and giving a Jummah or some public speech, he stopped and he addressed himself. He said, "Oh Umar, you did not know how to graze your father's camels. Today you are the Amir al-Mu'mineen of a great power." Yeah, you know, he said, I wanted to correct myself. You know, we were there grazing, didn't even know how to graze camels. What made them the leaders of mankind? You know, it was that vision and then the tarbiyah and the development which followed as part of that. Yeah, so we need to engage them in that work. So effective child development includes not only giving them knowledge and understanding, but building self-confidence, giving them these morals and values and the motivation to do good and the social skills and strong religious identity. You know, they should be known as Muslims, as Mu'mins, as Muttaqeen, as Muhsins and so on. You know, this is the identity which we should try to develop in them. They will be inspired. It takes a village to develop a child. You know, this is important, that it's not only the parents. And this is where we fail to support each other. Yeah? For example, my child doesn't listen to me, he may listen to you. So this way we are supporting and taking help of each other. It takes a village. Yeah? Seek help from others, don't be shy. If I know my child is going in that direction, I've tried my best. Maybe somebody else can also help. Don't be shy. We tend to hide our problems. Don't hide your problem. We share our problems with each other. Otherwise, we will not be able to disseminate this Islam. The Quran obligates parents to pay attention to this responsibility, and parents' contribution is the most important. I remember our teachers played a role, but if my father was not there pushing us, maybe we would have been quite weak. My father, if he had to even beat us up, he did. Yeah, I'm not saying beat up your children, but this is how it was in those days. Fathers not only sent us to the mosque, they used to go. If they don't go, then we wouldn't go. Yeah, so the role of the fathers and the mothers is so important. You know, this is, so we need to pay attention to this environment. Yeah. Second thing is about the environment. In the late 80s, this issue came up and it was very dominant amongst the Muslim community. What sort of schools do we send our children to? And the discussion was that the mainstream schools, secular, materialistic, they are now too dangerous for our children to send. What do we do? So many practices emerged. Some had no alternative, but they sent their children who became totally corrupted. The other was many parents started homeschooling. Some of them then started to establish Muslim schools. And all this debate was there. There is a book, a very small book, 20 pages, written by Ustad Khurumra. This is where the Islamic Foundation became very important for us. It was a strategy for the education of young people. He said, sending your children to the mainstream, these are the advantages, these are the disadvantages. Teaching your children at school, at home, these are the advantages and these are the disadvantages. Setting up Muslim schools, these are the advantages and these are disadvantages. Everything had disadvantages. So what's the solution? He came up with the alternative solution. He said, keep on sending your children to the mainstream. You will still protect them. How? You need to develop a new, and that's the halqa concept. He said, if your children's attachment with the halqa, with the study circle is strong, no matter what they do at schools, they will not have any impact on them. Yeah. So, but if you just send them to Muslim schools, when they come out, because they've not seen the wider society, they become, bad very quickly, because they've not developed to defend themselves. So he's saying his strategy was the movement strategy, is to have a network of study circles, led by good murabbis throughout the country to safeguard your. Then it clicked. I used to go to a church school, and in addition, I used to go to the church's Sunday school as well. So in the church school, the padri, the priest, used to come and teach us the Bible in Ari. And then on Sunday, again, another priest used to teach us the Bible in more details, and then we used to play football. It had no effect on me. I learnt the Bible, but I used to come home and compare, because my mother used to also tell me the stories of the prophets. So I said, the priest said this, you said this, yeah? And this way we were able to compare. So those who go to the study circles, they are developing their insights of Islam, their love of Allah, love of His Prophet, love of the Deen. They're getting inspired by the values. Then they go to school and they are able to compare. So what Ustad Khurumrad said, he said the environment in which you keep your children obviously has to be the mainstream society. Never cut your children from the mainstream society. Yes, there will be negative, but if your home environment and your study circle and the mosque environment is strong and inspiring, you will definitely, inshallah, save your children. So this is important, that we provide them with the right environment, that the parents and the teachers take responsibility for the tarbiyah of the children. With these few things, then no matter how much the society tries to pull them away, towards materialism, entertainment and so on, they will not succeed. And I remember this professor, Maulana Mashdi, may Allah have mercy on his soul, he's passed away, my first teacher. He quoted one professor who I can't remember at this time. He said, this professor said, let the Muslims make all the mosques they want. Let them make all these charities and schools and everything they want. Their third generation will be ours. He made this because the dominant culture, they were so confident, will pull them away from Islam and make them just like the mainstream. Alhamdulillah, it has not happened, is because many of our ulamas, our elders, they try to create or provide an alternative environment for the children. So with the role of parents, with the role of teachers, and also part of the environment is their friends. Be very careful on who your children, they play with and they interact with, because they become like their friends. Whoever your birds of a feather flock together. So you need to think about this. And this story I made up, but it's really powerful, that there's this person, he used to pay more attention to his son's friends and give very little time to his own son. And people observing this, they say, you idiot, that you should be giving more time to your son. He said, look, is my son good? Is he moral? Is he well behaved? Does he respect elders? Does he pray? They say, yes, he's a very good boy. He says, because of his friends. I make sure his friend's environment is also good, then my work is done. Yeah, so we need to look at all of this. So it's not just teaching in a classroom. It's not the methods of education. You don't just use technologies and so on, but you have to inspire them with the Islamic vision. You have to look at these 4 areas. يَتْلُو عَلَيْهِمْ آيَاتِهِ وَيُزَكِّهِمْ وَيُعَلِّمُهُمُ الْكِتَابَ وَالْحِكْمَةَ. These should be part of your teaching. Give them the right environment. Parents take this responsibility seriously. Now finally, I don't know how much time I have. If we look at this verse, Ku anfusakum wa ahlikum nara. Save yourselves and your all, which means your family, includes wife, children, from the fire of hell. Now, you may differ with me. There are ulamas here. I read very radical ideas sometimes. The word an-nar and nur are from the same root. Yeah. So this scholar, although he's not well known, this scholar, he said an-nar is not the fire of hell. Yeah. Anyway, but you don't have to take that. It's just an example. Yeah. He takes it from another verse in Surah Baqarah. It says that they lit a fire, and then these moths came towards the fire. So basically, he said Nur is light, which is guidance, and Annar is man-made illuminations, which is fire anyway. Yeah, secularism, capitalism, communism, man-made illumination, things which look attractive and so on. Save yourselves and your children from these man-made, you with me, which will misguide you and create you fire here and fire in the world hereafter. Yeah. So anyway, I use that then to elaborate on the meaning of this fire in much more deeply, and that gives you a full tarbiyah system, on not only the vision, but what are the things you have to protect your children from harm in this world and in the world hereafter. So fire, the objectives, so save from fire is basically you have to think long term, how to save ourselves and our families from this great fire. Now fire, when you look at it in that way, means misery in this world and misery in the world hereafter. So one is protect your children from becoming disconnected from Allah. Protect your children from becoming disconnected with Allah. In Surah it says, وَلَا تَقُولُوا لِمَنْ Be not like those who forgot Allah, and Allah made them forget themselves. So what will happen when you forget Allah? You forget who you are, what is your purpose in life, then you'll consider yourself same as animals, you will live like animals, and then you'll get into all kind. So by connecting to Allah, your vision of who you are, your purpose remains alive. So one is protect them from becoming disconnected from Allah, and that way you'll save them from this man-made illuminations and the fire and misery. Protect them from loneliness. Here now in this global age, global civilization, we are now suffering from loneliness. That we are connected by everyone through these mobile phones, yet go to people's houses on Christmas Day, they are on their own. On a lot of days they are lonely, and loneliness is increasing. how does this loneliness happen? Is when you become disconnected from people. How do you become disconnected from people? Is when you become immoral. If you know that I am going to lie to you, I'm going to cheat you, I'm going to use you, I'm going to abuse you, you will start moving away from me. And this is what happens. So these pleasures and leisures, they are more for individuals and it's not for collectives. So they slowly start disconnecting from the people. Then it clicked in my mind why this 5-time prayer in a Jamaat is so important. Yeah. So this protecting yourselves from this fire, from this loneliness is fire. You ask the people who are lonely, see how much they are suffering. So protect them from becoming disconnected from people through spoiling relationships with them by not living by moral values. Next thing is from being influenced by evil temptations. You can sit with your child and say you're watching Superman or Batman or whatever. Talk to them and say, look, these are camera tricks, this is illusion, this is not real life, this is this. They begin to see things critically. And then they are not influenced by those things in the same way. So basically, what are these evil temptations? Elaborate for them so that they don't end up in crime, they don't end up in wasting their life, they don't end up in all of these things. So these evil temptations are everywhere, immoral temptations are everywhere. Make them understand what these temptations are. Also protect them from becoming dependent on other people. Again, poverty leads to kufr. Yeah, so help your children to develop skills, knowledge, education, so that they can get jobs or they can set up their businesses. They can stand on their own feet. They are not dependent. If they become dependent, this homelessness, this poverty, it will slowly keep them away from deen. Yeah. Again, this is part of protecting yourself and your family from this. Protect them from ill health. Teach them what balanced food is, what is good health, how they can protect themselves from cold and all of those things so that they don't suffer in this world and later on. Because ill health also deviates you. And also protect them from these man-made illuminations, from wrong paths. All that glitters is not gold. We are being, this is great, this great civilization, new technologies and so on, but it's not. There's a saying that man has learnt how to fly in the air like birds and how to swim in the oceans like fishes, like the fish. But how to live on this earth, man does not know. He reaches the moon, yet he limps on the earth. Yeah, this is what's become. So all of these man-made paths, that's part of our Islamic education. Show them, look how communism rose and how it fell, because it was not linked, connected to human nature. Same thing is going to happen with capitalism. And Maulana Madudi has written this in book Shahid. He said capitalism will not even be able to feel security in cities like London and New York and Paris. It's because it's not aligned with human nature. Yeah. So teach them these things. So when we disseminate Islam, I don't only mean the basic beliefs, the 5 pillars, how to pray, how to fast, the stories of the prophets and so on, but it must be connected with this overall framework of inspiring them, giving them a vision, planting a dream in there. Become like Hazrat Umar or Hazrat Ali and become great people, reshape your world. Yeah, that will not happen by playing games all day long. It will not happen by doing these things. Inspire them so that you can be successful in this world and in the world hereafter. For me, this is what education is all about. Yeah, so we need to understand what's pulling them away, so that we can then provide alternatives, alternative environment, better role of parents and teachers and friends, and give them the right environment and the right inspiration, and teach them how to protect themselves from all these things which could give them fire in this world and misery and fire in the world hereafter. I feel that through these few things, inshallah, we'll be able to not only protect our young people, but we will be able to make them leaders wherever they go, inshallah, and they will transform their environments. And that is the power of Islam. Jazakallah khairan.